Hello and welcome to the Mangrove Coast. I know, super original name, but they can't all be bangers. We're going to do about 500 words each on 5 different swamp biomes over 5 videos. Have you heard that before? I hope so, because this is our last. The mangrove swamp is pretty big, running along a section of the southern coast of Belaginense in the province of Mater Assi, on the pocket dimension of Ninsweta. Whew, that's a whole lot of places and names. Don't stress out about it too much, though. There won't be a test later, and really we're mostly just talking about this swamp, so you're not going to hear all that craziness again. Although I will say, the coolest thing about Ninsweta is the astroastronomy as the plane moves along through infinite space. Again, it doesn't have a lot to do with the swamp, but currently the sky is full of sparklers. It's been passing through a huge field of flare for some days now, and the sky is absolutely brilliant. The beauty along the coast has doubled as the reflection creates an all-night show both in the sky and on the sea. Now, we've been dealing with some really hot and really muggy swamps, but the coast is not particularly hot or rainy. In a mangrove swamp, the water comes from the sea, you see. Another fun fact, the type of swamp is named after the trees that are so common there. For a moment I wondered if Ninsweta didn't have actual mangrove trees, if it would still be a mangrove swamp. But for our purposes, it's more about the type of tree than the actual species. The primary trait is their ability to survive in salt water. And yes, you're right, not all my oceans are salty, but I just decided for this video they definitely are on Ninsweta. The trees here aren't particularly tall, maxing out around 60 feet. Their bases are very wide though. Mostly this is because of the picture that inspired me. What are the threats here? For one, pirates, freedom fighters, and all the places where they overlap. There are tribal forces here opposed to the urban governments. Along with them, there are pirates who raid all along the coast, both directions, well beyond the mangroves. The two are not always aligned ideologically, but economically, they desire the same thing. It's expensive to run a guerrilla war. So what are the reasons for adventurers to come poking around? I mean, aside from piracy and freedom fighting. Well, the coast has an erosion problem, so there are partially submerged ruins all over the place. A lack of cultural urgency in just about everything means that many structures were never properly evacuated before they had to be abandoned. There's monster hunting too. There are treants here, friendly mermaids, and other fey creatures. Some not so friendly. I'm going to say chul are a common problem here, as are nagas and shambling mounds. The super predators of the region are swamp worms, a variant of something simple, nothing to worry about, purple worms. These big old water-breathing beasts, well, they'll lay silent under the water until something filling comes too close, and then it's on, baby. An aquatic beatdown of epic proportions. People have gone their whole lives, of course, without seeing one. They are rare, but everybody knows a story of some ship's mate who survived an attack when most or all of his crew did not. One of the more annoying residents of the swamp are the black-winged blackflies. These little menaces can sweep in suddenly, doing just a few points of damage per round at best. However, without fire to chase them away, the attack can last for 10 minutes or more before they move on. That is likely 100 points of damage and a whole lot of departed crewmen. Luckily, simple torches or magical fire will disperse them in just a round or two. You better not feel too secure though. They have a disease named after them. Taking damage from blackflies means that you need to make a DC 12 save versus con. Failure means that you're soon going to be feeling pretty icky. It affects different people in different ways, but overall it can be described as a general feeling of weakness. On the second day, the character loses 2 temporary points from each of 3 random ability scores. After that, they get another save. If they succeed in their save, or on a successful DC 12 medical check, the character will recover fully in 3 days. However, if the character is failing those saves, they lose 6 more points on the following day. On the 4th day of illness, this happens yet again. But even after 3 fails, assuming that no ability scores have reached 0, they begin to recover as the disease has run its course. Now, it's certainly within the DM's rights to declare that some of those points are permanently lost if the character never succeeds a check. That is some nasty business. I hope that you all have enjoyed all this talk about sickness and bugs and sticky humidity. I'm not a fan of any of those things, but I've had fun talking about them. As usual, my goal isn't to completely sell you on any of these given fantasy destinations. I'm just hoping to give you one or two ideas about how you can make your own setting and processes a little bit better. In the near future, I have a feeling we're going to be doing a higher percentage of some 2024 Player's Handbook stuff, but I will do my best to figure out our next big topic in the realm of world building. I've noticed that some old island shorts have been getting a lot of play, so maybe it's time to revisit Rossetti and start talking about my 3 classifications of islands in their own videos. However, while I'm figuring all that out, I'm glad you all stopped by. You all matter to me, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Cheers.